hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have Will Hollins. Hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And I also have Tomeka from Two Blur Girls podcast. She's with me again. She's putting up with my shenanigans like last time with Peacemakers. Hello to everybody.
Right. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Jeez, pray for me. I'm putting up with John again.
Shenanigans.
It's a hard job to do.
Just watch
But
Peacemaker and you'll know.
exactly. We talked a lot about Peacemaker.
You make it through Peacemaker. That in and of itself is an exercise in mental gymnastics.
Exactly. But tonight we're not here to discuss Peacemaker, unfortunately.
Okay. Right.
But we are going to be talking about something that is very, to be honest with you, is a culture thing. It's something that I really love, and I love the Karate Kid series, and that is Cobra Kai. And ever since the very first season, I've been hooked on it. I signed up for YouTube Red, and then I canceled it later on after I binge watched the first two seasons, and now it's on Netflix. But let's just go on ahead and talk about. I'm just going to go on ahead, do a little bit of a dive. Well, not exactly a dive in to season 3, but just a little bit of how season 3 left over. So basically, you actually have after the events of season 3, where we wind up seeing a falling out between Kreese and also Johnny Lawrence. Now Johnny and Daniel are now working together, and that's of course where we're at season 4, right where I left off at with them working together. When I saw this, I'm like, these are two different people with two different aspects of fighting. One's for defense, the other one's for offense. How are these two people going to work together and stuff like that? Is this going to work? How is it going to work? If it is going to work. So I liked seeing them work together. And of course, like we said before, we have offense. We also have defense. And them two mashing together just doesn't work at the very first part of it. But what did you guys think of the opening?
Ladies first.
Oh, yeah. I like to say I couldn't imagine these two working together. Is totally different fighting styles. Daniel or Danielson, he's mostly like calm, chi. We fight when we're provoked. And Johnny is like, no, we run after them, we kick their ass before they can even provoke us with anything. So that conflict kind of spilled into the first episode, really. It was just going back and forth between how are these two gonna work together? It's like the group project from hell, basically.
I think that, like, if you've ever eaten like a spicy food, like a habanero type, a wing or like a ghost pepper wing, something like that.
Ooh.
The first thing they tell you not to do is drink water, because water doesn't work because the chemicals in the peppers are oil based. So just like oil and water, they don't mix. So you're not going to get rid of or cool down. You're actually just going to make things worse. So it's interesting that in the first part of that, what you have is not just the two styles. You have these two diametrically opposed people. There's still a lot of conflict they've never resolved. So like they've never really dealt with it. And then the problem is that while they're trying to teach their students, they're still trying to go at it from the standpoint of my way is better than your way.
It's two male egos, basically.
Right. It's the fact they're fighting against each other. So there's no unity with the students because they're fighting each other.
Exactly. There's a division because of the Cobra Kai stuff. Because remember, in season 3, they actually had that whole entire deal where they all fought in Daniel's house and everything. And the wife's also still dealing with the aftermath of that. Then you also have Daniel still dealing with the fact that you have students that came into his house and was laying the smackdown on every single all of his students and everything too. So you have that thing going on. And because remember what Hawk said, he goes, I don't think I fit in here. She goes, what do you expect? You burn bridges everywhere you went. What do you expect? And he let his mouth overload his butt on that one because he could have just been there for Hawk and stuff like that, because Hawk does want to change. That's why he joined up with Miyagi-Do and everything to make a change in his life. It's like the students want to change, but it's also hard to trust these other students. Then you also have, like you said before, Will, where you actually have Daniel and Johnny trying to work together, two different people that never resolve their issues. The only thing that they have in common is taking Kreese down. And that's it. You don't have any common ground other than that. You might
They have a
see
common
it
enemy, but they don't have a common goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Remember the Titans.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's a perfect example.
Such a great parallel.
Who is Denzel? Is it Daniel? Is it Johnny? Who is it?
That's what they needed. They needed coach from Remember the Titans to come in and be like, if they miss a kick, you will run a mile.
Lord have mercy.
If they go through and not balance on the water, that will run a mile.
Are Titans. Yeah.
If you and you can't get together, I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts, and then y'all will both run a mile, and your students will run behind you.
Yes.
And then when they look at each other, they're like, but I will not accept the idea you cannot work together. That's not how this works. If we could work together in the South with white and black and people throwing bricks at me, y'all got to be able to find a way to work together to take this thing down. It's no longer Eagle Dojo and Miyagi-Do. It's just a dough.
Wow.
You know, Joe.
That's what we need, Denzel. We need Denzel to show up.
Church.
Preach.
Preach.
But I really you actually break it down pretty well on that, though, Will. It's either we get along or we go ahead and break ties and forget about what we're trying to build here. And, you know, you see them face off against each other over and over again over their teaching methods. And then, of course, you see one of Eagle Fang Karate breaks one of Daniel's windows because it's all paper and everything, too. And that was Hawk that actually accidentally broke something again. But this time it was an accident.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they showed that Hawk was actually trying to learn the culture of Miyagi-Do. Because before it was all about trying to find something on Miyagi-Do and stealing something from Miyagi-Do versus trying to learn the culture of Miyagi. So that's something that I really liked about the transformation of his character as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of character growth in this season, particularly. I mean, there's also a lot of reveals of just like, oh my gosh, can we talk about Daniel's other kid for a minute?
Yeah,
like he lost the baby fat and just became a douche.
Yeah,
because we seen. Great, go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
I didn't expect him to be a bully, and it showed you the psyche of a bully. Like they all want to fit in, because you can tell his conscience was bothering him. Like they were like, "Oh, what do they call him? La Puss." They started egging him on to bully the new kid Kenny, who I like. Kenny's opening. He's just out there jamming at the bus stop. He's like, get it. And it's like, oh shit, okay. Hey, everybody.
I saw Kenny, I wondered for a minute if this was their backdoor way of getting the Jaden Smith character into the show. Because I really wondered at first if like maybe
about him.
That was a little brother or something like that to him. But apparently they did do an interview with the two main actors, William Zappo, and of course the guy that plays Daniel LaRusso, whose name I can't think of, Ralph Macchio. And what they said was specifically they only deal with the Miyagi verse. So technically, since the Will Smith backed Karate Kid, which he owns the rights to the name Karate Kid now, which is why, if you'll notice in the credits, he's one of the executive producers of the show, because he owns the name Karate Kid. Like he purchased it so that he could make a movie with his kid in it. Like that's some powerful money right there. I'm just saying. You just be like, I want the franchise that my kid can be in it. So let me go buy it.
Genius.
But I thought that was going to be their way of introducing Trey into that world. They were going to be like, well, let's create an alternate version of Trey that's in the Miyagi verse. But instead, they went with Kenny, which was totally unrelated. Now, what they said was, since he's not in the Miyagi verse, basically, we probably won't see Jaden Smith. But they did bring up a name that I didn't think of, which was Hilary Swank.
Right.
Because they said Hilary Swank was trained by Miyagi.
Yep.
So she could very well be involved in this at some point. Is she involved in this season? No, but that doesn't mean she won't show up.
Right, because Here's the thing with Hilary Swank, though. I consider this to be like Karate Kid 3 mixed with new character building. I consider last season Karate Kid 2 because we had nods to the Karate Kid 2. So this is just like a continuation of the Karate Kid 2. This is actually a continuation of Karate Kid 3 mixed with some newness. And also Kenny also represents Daniel in so many ways because of him being bullied.
Right.
And everything too. So that's something else that I really liked.
I have a theory though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've never seen Tori's mom.
I thought we did for some reason at the
Tori,
very beginning.
we saw the brother take something to her mother, but we never saw her mother. Now, here's a question. What if Hilary Swank is the mom?
I can believe that over the fact that I remember when speculations came out that Tori's father was going to be Terry Silver's father. I'm like, no, that does not fit the MO. That theory I'm not going to throw around. Yeah. But it could very well be Tori's mother. But then I thought we saw Tori's mother at this one because remember, we did see Tori's mom trying to be there for her. Remember?
That was her aunt.
That was her aunt. That's right.
That was her aunt.
My bad.
Talk about when she was she was going to the dojo and she was all like, well, look, it's only a matter of time before she dies. And when she dies, who do you think she's going to leave everything to? You think she'll leave it to a bunch of snot-nosed kids or she's going to leave it to her sister?
Yeah.
I just hope that they do Hillary. Right. Yeah. I'm just hoping if they do introduce Hilary Swank, I'm hoping that they don't kill her off in that kind of way.
Well, and the thing about it is, I think Tori, everybody has a lot more character in them. I think it's interesting how Tori saw Terry Silver paying off the judge. So Tori then looks at her trophy like, I can't even win the one thing I wanted to win for myself. Because that was the whole thing she told, what's his face? She said, I just want to do this for me. Like, I just want to prove I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when Terry Silver tells her, well, do it again, but do it to the other eye. She said, I don't need to cheat to win. Like, I can beat her.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like the introduction to Terry, though. I just like
that too. Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I want to dive into too, is the introduction to Terry at the very first episode, because we don't know what Terry's been through since Karate Kid 3, because I was thinking he got bankrupt. I'm thinking nobody wants to do business with him or anything, because remember, he was going to plant different Cobra Kais around the valley. That was his dream. It wasn't Kreese's dream. That was his dream, which we're going to get into like later on, because now that you have context with that, with planning the dojos and him doing what he did to Kreese at the end, it makes sense because that was his dream. Kreese just wanted vengeance on Daniel for beating Johnny. That's all he wanted.
Yep.
Kreese wanted to have a lot, not Kreese, but Terry wanted to have a lot more power than that.
He wanted to spread the message of Cobra Kai all over the place.
Yeah, the gospel of Cobra Kai. Like when Reese went to see Terry, I did not know who that was. I was like, who's this guy? Who's this yuppie looking guy? And then he was like, Terry. I said, Terry? That's not Terry. Look at him. But, as soon as, of course, he put his hair back. I don't know why. For me, when he put his hair back into the ponytail, I was like, oh, Terry, there he goes. Yeah. I see him now. I don't know who that other guy was.
They needed to establish in a physical way that he had kind of grown and lived a different life. He had his woman, he had this whole socialite lifestyle.
No, they don't have labels, by the way. They don't have labels yet. They're just having fun.
Well, yeah, that's why I say his lady. I'm not saying whether it's anything more than that or not. Wherever she's at in the relationship spectrum with him.
Whatever vegetarian woman is with him at that day, that's who he wants to be with.
Yeah, what about that douchebag? Sorry, language. What about the guy that was talking about, oh, you do karate? That's so cute. I was like, what?
Oh, the hipster?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a part of the theme too, because he's not the only one that did that. If you think about when the boys were picking on LaRusso's kid, oh, do that karate stuff that your dad did.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't pass that on. Like it's not a martial arts in and of itself. It's not hereditary. You either learn it or you don't. But it's the fact that they made fun of it. There are these people that were making fun of the way stuff is. You look at also, I can't think of who it was that in the store with Tori. or something like that. Whatever, like, oh, you do that karate thing. Like, there are so many people that were just downplaying karate as a general thing, and it was the fact that it was like, it's like you saw that more than just that one time. But it was the idea, even no matter what you're doing, people are going to downplay it, so you might as well just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I liked how first Kreese winds up calling Terry, and Terry's playing his piano, and you notice that he's doing like a gentle kind of score kind of thing to show the fact of his character and how much he changed. Then when he gets that call from Kreese of the unknown caller, he hangs up on him, and then there's this violent thing that he does with the song itself to show his anger coming out of that piano towards Kreese.
Yeah.
The point was like, I don't want to deal with this douchebag anymore. I don't want to be with this guy anymore after the stuff that happened in the 80s, and even acknowledged it. Because when Kreese goes over to the condo, he goes, look, he goes, I just realized something. 20, 30 years ago, I was bullying a kid for a karate tournament. Also did cocaine in the 80s. I've done X amount of stuff, torturing this kid for what? What was the purpose? What was the motivation? To get even with the kid that is not doing anything to me? Then all of a sudden, Kreese has a way of planting little seeds in someone's head and doing a full 360 and doing exactly what they want him to do.
And basically, his manipulative tool was what he did for him during the war. It always came back to that for him. It was, I was the one that was tough enough to go through that situation. If I hadn't gone through that situation, you would still be in that cage. You owe me. And it was always the idea, you owe me. And he manipulated him so much with that whole idea of him owing him. And the thing about it is that Kreese would probably hold that over his head till he died. If he let him.
Well, even Terry called him out on his own BS with that. He goes, oh, how many times are we going to play this card?
Yeah. And he was doing so well too. Like I thought for a moment, like, oh, he can stand his ground. But it seems like everybody that it's Kreese, right? I don't know why I call him Reese. But it seems like everybody that Kreese meets, he, like you say, has his way of manipulating them and making them feel small, and they start to believe that they are small and that they need his approval, like his protection. And those are dangerous people that can really get in your head. And I was rooting for Terry. I was like, yeah, you go, Terry, you tell him. And then, all of a sudden he just started thinking, oh, he did save me. Oh, I am weak. Oh, I do need him. Oh, this is boring. I don't know if he was satisfied with his life before Kreese came into it. Maybe he wasn't satisfied or whatever, but I felt like he was on the mend, and he was trying to he was going to a place of peace inside with his tofu and his cilantro on a stick. I mean, he was happy, wasn't he? Wasn't he happy?
He did seem like happier.
It. Because even when he goes into the dojo, he goes, "Damn you, Kreese! Damn you!"
Yeah, and then he helped the lady, his whatever, it's escaping me. His maid, because she was about to drop the ice. The old Terry wouldn't have done that. He would have drop kicked that ice out of her hand, and then say, "Pick it up."
Well, technically, he did break a champagne bottle, the wine bottle at the basement.
That's when Kreese got in his head. I feel like if he didn't see Kreese, he would have just left that wine bottle alone and say, "I'm coming, honey. Turn over the tofurkey." I was so mad at Kreese. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Now I want to kind of go back to Kenny, if that's okay, for a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, please do, please.
So Kenny started off as this interesting kid. Yeah, he kind of reminded me a little bit of me because it's like he was into the gaming, he was into the cosplay, and he was into all that stuff. And so, of course, he gets manipulated by LaRusso's kid. Which, trust me, that's going to be a subject for a while for me. Is just him, because I got a funny feeling there's a beeline for the next season set up already between those two. That they're gonna butt heads, and also the fact that he goes through this initial thing. He kind of gets pulled into the swing of it because he ends up trying to go to learn martial arts. He ends up going to Cobra Kai. And what is the one kid's name? The son of oh gosh, he's
Johnny.
Johnny's son.
Oh,
Who's
is it
there?
Something with an R, which I forgot his name.
And he's trying to work with him because he's just like, his brother told him pretty much like, hey, go find this guy. This guy will teach you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew he was a good fighter because they were in juvie together. And so it's funny how that came in. And Robbie, there we go.
Robbie.
And then they go through all that. And what's interesting with him is he goes from being this very shy, quiet, reserved kid who we only see his dad for a brief second.
Yeah.
We don't ever see his mom. So we don't know what the situation is there. But then he goes kind of from 0 to 180. And of course, about halfway through the series, it's like he has a switch that goes off, and it's just like vicious. And even Robbie said they're going like, this isn't what I was trying to do. I was not trying to do this to him. Like I didn't want him to become this.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really cool how they played that.
Oh, go ahead.
I did
John.
too. Oh, but all I was gonna say was this. I really like his character, to be honest with you. I really like Kenny a lot because he represents us. He represents us as nerds, someone that loves comics, someone that loves anime, someone that enjoys computer games and stuff like that. And we got picked on for the things that we liked, and that's exactly what's going on with Kenny. And we can relate to Kenny a lot. And also too, now correct me if I'm wrong, someone of color, it's actually worse for them to like anime because of the fact that someone of color being considered to be a nerd and everything, and people who are of color don't understand certain things. Am I right or am I wrong about that? Because I know it's hard to actually digest some of that sometimes, because I've watched this one show called Daybreak, for example, and it was someone of color. He was actually a nerd. He was also gay as well.
Oh, goodness.
So you have him being a nerd, liking stuff that maybe a white person would like, or someone, you know what I'm saying? And also too, he's also being gay, which also makes it very hard as well to fit in as well, because he's also being looked down on. So my question is this: does it seem like he's also being looked down on at that same level, though, too, in a sense with Kenny?
I don't know if the show is playing into the racial angle of it.
Okay.
Just because I feel like with the show, it's more about Daniel's son, the expectation of the group he's running with on him. And so because of the way they're pushing him to try to be this thing that he isn't, then Kenny just happens to be the target.
It was just something I was curious about.
Because I could see why you would go that way. If they want it, it could play into that. But
definitely.
Maybe it'll take away from.
It would take away from the show, and I don't want it to be like that.
But yeah,
it was just something I was thinking.
I think personally, it is a lot harder, because I feel like I was picked on by like my own kind for liking something other, like anime or all these other things. But yeah, and now it seems acceptable in a sense. Like you have more people who are of color or black nerds or whatever you want to say, who are into it, as opposed to, I felt kind of like more of a double minority, or in a sense. It was just it's kind of weird, it's out of the norm for you to like anime or you to like superheroes or comics or stuff like that. It wasn't hip or cool when I was coming up. And I'm not that old. I'm in my 30s. Yeah. But still, even at my age, in my time, it wasn't really cool.
Well, I mean, and I'll add to that by simply saying that it wasn't cool for anybody be a nerd back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, with me, for example, you spoke of your own kind. I thought that was a neat way of saying folks like us look like us. But I had a lot of people say, well, You don't like for example, I wasn't as big into Soul Train on Saturday afternoons as I was martial arts flicks because I love watching old kung fu flicks on Saturday afternoons. If I caught Soul Train, I watched it to keep an eye on who was on, but it wasn't necessarily something I was going to go out of my way to go watch, like the kung fu flicks that started every week,
Right.
or things like that. So for me, it was more of people would say, "Well, why are you interested in that? Why are you not interested in this?" It's like, well, I am interested in that. I'm just interested in this more.
Yeah.
I just like this more. Like I like watching people, do these crazy fight scenes and all this different stuff. And I like watching these cartoons on Saturday mornings, like, because, they would be like, everybody be like, oh, okay, we're going to talk about Fat Albert. Not going to rock with you on Fat Albert too. But like, then I was going to talk to somebody about gargoyles. I was want to talk to somebody about gummy bears. I was want to talk about, whatever cartoon was on that I really loved, the Transformers or whatever. And it was just like, we don't watch that. That's not cool to us. So because it's not cool to us, it shouldn't be cool to you either. And it's just like, it's pretty cool to me.
Yeah. And now it seems to be more acceptable because
Definitely.
we are all up in the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
Now more so. But with Kenny, I would say is really interesting how he's bullied. It's more bullying, and that's 10 times scarier now for the kids nowadays.
Definitely.
I'm in my generation, I act like I'm 70 years old. But my generation, we didn't have Facebook yet. And we didn't have social media. When you got bullied, it was just spread around the school. Did you hear what happened to such and such? Like this kid, he got bullied and it's all over the Facebook accounts,
and Instagram and everything else.
Yeah, it's humiliating and it doesn't seem like it's gonna come down, and that's just in there forever. As opposed to when I was bullied, it was in people's minds who have forgotten now, hopefully.
It was in people's minds until the next thing happened.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Exactly. And I like the fact that they captured how times have changed since bullying. Instead of it being in physical contact and face to face, and now we live in this virtual world now where it's actually easy to manipulate somebody over Instagram and bully somebody, which is a shame that they're using technology in a way to bully someone.
And just the fact that they even pretended to be the girl who he was kind of into.
That was low.
That was messed up.
That was very low.
And he didn't know how to deal with her anymore because, like, he never told her, like, this happened. So, but in his mind, like, was she in on it? Like, you never really know because you never really see her interact with him again after all that. Even though she was honestly trying to be friendly to him. And it's just like, once Kreese and Silver got the switches started turning, he wasn't going to come out the same on the other side.
No, he turned into a psychotic predator or Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that library. I was like, oh, dang, okay.
He was like,
coming up with the moves, like, wha-cha, wha-cha.
That's something I want to talk about is his speed, because remember when Robbie says, use your speed as your weapon.
Don't run from something, run towards it.
And it works in his own benefit.
Yeah. It's like you're sitting there watching. I honestly, when I saw him in the library, I thought of the old Arkham games.
Oh, yeah.
Because with the Arkham games, the strategy in those games is break the people apart and try to handle them one by one. You don't want to sit there and handle a pack of people because it will always outnumber you. But he would break people down in smaller chunks so that way, and he saved LaRusso to last. So he could try to, do what he was going to do. And then, of course, he got caught.
Yeah.
Then, but it was just like he was going through them and he ran through. I'm sitting there like, good grief, there's some wrestlers who don't deliver that move as well as he did. I mean, I understand they were selling the maneuver to make it look more painful, but it still felt painful when you saw it.
I thought I was watching Predator or something. I was like, dang, this dude in Black Ops up in the wood, up in the
library.
Wood,
It was like, you're no longer locked in. You're locked in here with me. That's what I got.
Oh yeah, this is my territory, my playground.
Yeah, because
I'm no longer locked in here with all of y'all. You're locked in here with me.
And think of it like this, though. We all read books because we're nerds and geeks and stuff like that, too. What is he? He represents us, so therefore fighting in the library makes sense because that's where he feels the safest at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
those
that
guys didn't know where the library was. They're like, "What's
no,
this? The library?" Oh, okay.
And then it's
but
funny how they were trying to, like, he was able to manipulate like there were moments where he was like he closed down some of the aisles,
Oh
so
yeah.
they really couldn't get out like quick. Like one of the bigger heavyset ones that was there, like he closed the aisle down just enough to where he couldn't like just turn and run immediately because he hit the shelves. He was trying to turn, and that's what he was able to get him. You know,
right,
he used the environment to his advantage, which I thought was really
exactly.
interesting.
Freaking ninja.
Pretty much.
Brandy wanted to know: did anyone think that bringing back a Stingray was a little too much?
When they did what they did with Stingray, it makes all the sense in the world. Because the idea that you bring Stingray back, now, first of all, I'm sorry, I don't endorse anybody throwing parties for underage drinking, which
Me
Stingray
either.
did that in spades. Stingray's neighbor, if he hadn't been such a jerk the whole entire time, every time you saw him, like they basically made you want to root for Stingray, but I'm like, dude, he's not really in the right either. Like,
No,
No,
definitely.
he's
I
still
never.
trying to hang out with these kids, man. Like, no.
Yeah, I thought the neighbor was, you know, tough on him, but I never wanted to root for Stingray. I was like, well, you did deserve this. You did get underage kids in here and they're drinking, but you can also tell Stingray, like the neighbor said, it was painful, but he was like, he doesn't have any friends his own age.
Yeah.
This is why he throws parties with you guys. It's really sad.
Yeah. And it's the I heard the joke one time. Somebody said, you know, we grew up in the Jeffrey the Giraffe era of the world where it was, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. And so this idea of not wanting to ever, quote, grow up, sometimes it's a detriment. Sometimes it's a great thing. I mean, sometimes some of the best animators in the world are just gigantic kids, you
Mhm.
know, who have responsibilities and stuff, but they do the
Right.
work. But with Stingray, I felt like the only reason why you brought him back like they did was just so they pay off the end of the season. You set him
True.
up to look like the scuzz that he kind of is. And then it's like, oh, you want to be part of Cobra Kai? Well, I have a way you can do it. But in order
Be
for you to do it, you got to take this L you're about to take.
You gotta
down.
take
When
this
it's
butt.
time, you'll
Hmm.
know when it's time. You're going to say these words right
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
That's when we let you in. And I don't think it's going to get any better for him once he gets in.
Yeah.
No,
And
it's gonna
I
be worse.
did feel bad for him when he just strolled up into the Cobra Kai and he's talking to Kreese and he's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm back. How you doing? Hey, sensei. Hey, new sensei. How you doing? How you doing?" Like he just humiliated that guy in front of all the students. He's like, "You are an idiot and a buffoon. Get out of here." He's like, "It's fine. It's fine. I'm cool. You know, don't cry in front of people. Just cry in your bathroom floor." But I felt bad a little bit for him.
I did too because he was expecting to go in there with open arms after defending everybody in the second season at the school.
Yeah.
But he also didn't realize too that he also put a bad name on Cobra Kai because he's actually supposed to be the oldest one. Well, he is the oldest one in Cobra Kai,
Right.
and he's supposed to be a role model in a sense for those kids. And seeing him act like a kid also makes Kreese not want to deal with him because of the
Right.
stuff he did. Because not saying that Kreese didn't do anything to give Cobra Kai a bad name. It's just that he's supposed to be, if he's going to be with these kids, he's got to be a role model outside of the dojo.
Mm-hmm.
And he joined in with the fighting, and therefore he also suffered the same consequences the kids did. But it's also worse because he can be trialed as an adult and everything. And you saw the repercussions, and you saw what happened. Now he's got a criminal record. Nobody wants to deal with it.
Yeah.
Stingray.
Which we
Or
really didn't see him a whole lot in season 2. He was involved in the fight in season 1.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. That's
Because
season. Yeah, at the
because
end of okay, that's right.
yeah. So it was that. So we really didn't see him a whole lot really between then and there. I mean, we kind of see him little bits and pieces, but we
Well,
really get
season two
more.
is whenever they broke up in the fight, right? So that's whenever Stingray winded up.
I thought
Stingray won because season 3 was about Miguel when he was being paralyzed.
I thought season 2 was Miguel because Miguel fell off because Miguel was fighting Robbie and he got kicked
Yeah, he
over at the
fell
end of
off.
season 1.
Right.
He hits the
Well,
back. That's the recovery season, and then you end with
okay.
Oh gosh, I can't even think because you're right. Season 3 is the house stuff. Season
Right.
3 ends in the house,
Right.
and everything. Because we get introduced to Tori in season 2,
Right.
but we don't get that payoff really till season 3 where they're fighting in the house.
Right.
Sam's trying to get over her fear of Tori.
Mm.
And she still is. And let's talk about that though too, because remember, I like the fact that they brought her friend in from the very first season.
Aisha.
I love Aisha's character. I wish that they would actually do more with her instead of letting her
think
sit
the
on the
actress
sideline.
had some issues. The actress was doing some other work, and I
Mm.
don't think she was able to get free during season 2.
Okay.
Well, from what I remembered was they didn't even ask her. She was actually, I think she went on social media. I could be wrong, but I think she went on social media that she wasn't even asked to go into another season or
Okay.
anything like that. And a matter of fact, I remember her also saying too, she had no way of paying any bills or anything because of the fact that she had no other job it lined up. But quote me if I'm wrong though, Will, if you're looking into it or whatever. But
I'm gonna look into it here just a minute while we're doing that. I mean, I just
Okay.
want to make sure I'm giving the right information out too.
Okay. But Aisha's character is someone that I really liked. And I thought that Sam would actually follow Aisha's advice. Well, what did you do with someone that bullied you when you were new? Oh, I went up to her and I confronted her, and now we're friends. We ended up coming up with some common ground. Sam does a total different thing than what Aisha does. She went up, and I told my fiance, I told Brandy, I said, that's not the advice that Aisha had in mind for her. That's the exact opposite.
Yeah, when it comes to boys, then it gets a little messy. Like you dating my ex and I'm dating your ex, and I was like, this is just a whole big mess right here.
Mm-hmm.
So
A
yeah,
lot
I
of
don't
high
think
school
there could
drama.
be any common ground with those two ladies, especially when they were at the prom, right?
Yep.
And then Tori and Robbie, is the name Robbie, right?
Robbie.
Yeah.
Robbie, and they come out there looking like Brad and Angelina, and I was like, "What the hell is that dress code for the prom?" I mean, her girls are out, like, wait a minute, okay.
Is there any dress
Right.
code in this school?
Yeah, what is up with this prom? Jeez, goodness. And then their fight at the pool was so awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, these chicks are fighting in their prom dresses and they're doing these Cobra Kai and Miyagi spin kicks and everything else.
In
It
heels.
was awesome.
In heels, which makes it even more painful.
In heels. You got to give it to them, or their stunt doubles or whoever.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely did that.
Mm-hmm. Then the guys come in late.
Of course.
My girlfriend. I mean, my ex. I'm sorry. Oops. I'm like, this is just super messy.
Yeah. But it's funny too because that kind of happened in season 1 when they were fighting. Like they kind of went that way too. Because remember, the girls were fighting in the hallway initially, and then they showed up and tried to break it up, and then they started fighting. So it's kind of the habit of the guys that they always tend to show up late. Now, I will mention this too. I think the person that got maybe the least development was Robbie. But I think part of that has to do with the fact that the reason he's got less development has to do with the fact that he's going to be playing Robbie Reyes in the Blue Beetle movie coming up. And so he won't be as much of an active part in the next season. So because he'll be busy doing the Blue Beetle movie. So that could be their reason for having Robbie, quote, go see his dad. And here I am hoping for Danny Trejo to be his dad. Just because I think that'd be interesting, especially with the whole idea that his dad doesn't know that he was born.
Miguel.
Like we just need somebody that's just the baddest thing on 2 feet that would just like Miguel would have to learn a whole different style from what he's been taught just to be able to deal with his dad in that world.
Right. Another thing I want to mention is this though. I liked how Daniel's trying to teach defense, and then you also have Johnny who's trying to teach offense. And I'm like, dude, you guys are gonna have to learn both. You can't just go on with one style this time, especially when you have, of course, Robbie teaching Miyagi-Do karate. And I'm like, you guys are gonna have to go on ahead and teach both. Yeah, I know you don't like it, Daniel. I know you don't like teaching offense, but you're gonna have to go in there and teach offense this time. You're gonna have to strike first. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to go after your own philosophies versus Miyagi's philosophies on some things, and still have that balance of Miyagi. You have to find your own self within this Miyagi-Do karate.
I think the biggest problem, though, is that he doesn't know how to teach anything else.
No.
If his style is primarily a defensive style, wax on, wax off, sand the wall, sand the car, do this, do that, do this.
Yeah.
It's all defensive tactics. So to tell him, okay, you're gonna have to teach offense now. That's like telling a quarterback, hey, you're going to be a tackle for the next 6 weeks.
Right.
They've been a quarterback for years, and all they understand is get the ball set up, look for the open pass, and pass it. And then it's like, no, now you're going to block to make sure that the guy doesn't hit the quarterback.
Right.
It's a change in mentality. And so when Johnny, all he knows is go first, go assertive, go block this. It's different for him because he's never had to, quote, defend. So the best of both worlds are people like Sam, who is kind of learning both sides. Robbie, Miguel, because Miguel's been learning a lot from Miyagi-Do. Miguel also learned a lot from Eagle Fang.
Right.
And so there's this idea that at some point, you're going to see this new group of people be a more balanced version of what Daniel and Johnny could never be.
Yeah.
It's really going to be put on their shoulders. Now, I do want to throw this at you guys because my buddy threw this out there. What is so revolutionary in a martial arts tournament about having skills challenges and having girls fight against girls and boys fight against boys? Because when they did the big meeting about the thing where they're going to do the competition, they made it seem like such a big deal. It's like, oh my goodness, we're going to revolutionize the way karate tournaments have been done for decades, and we're going to have a skill challenge. I was like, aren't there already karate tournaments with skill challenges?
Yeah.
I think with them,
girls fight girls.
Oh.
Karate tournaments where girls fight girls?
Yeah, I think it is.
We're going to have the boys fight the boy. Aren't there already tournaments? We're going to have weight classes. Don't they already doing that? What's so revolutionary about it? And then the one guy's like, may God help us all. What do you do so revolutionary in this thing? Y'all are in the room acting like somebody just said it's going to be Mortal Kombat. We got weapons. Everybody's going to fight with weapons. It's going to be Battle Royale. Whoever lives, lives. Whoever's maimed, we hope they got good insurance. We ain't covered none of it. Like, that's what I'm thinking was happening. But when I'm hearing what's happening, I'm like, how's that revolutionary, y'all? Like,
it's not. I don't think they seen many tournaments
at all. Like, I guess they saw like Game of Death or they saw Enter the Dragon and thought, okay, we got to do something different now. You know?
Plus these tournaments that they had with Danny and Johnny. But outside of that, you can tell that they've just been in this bubble where they're like, oh, it's so revolutionary. Oh, girls versus girls. Oh, snap.
But also, too, if you look, the only girl that's over there is Tori. So I'm like, where's your analytics at? Where's your statistics to show girls are even interested in this? Because there's only one girl that was actually competing in that whole entire thing.
I don't know, but apparently it was revolutionary for them to do it. And by the way, so of all the possible artists and singers that we could have gotten to come in there and perform a song, we thought, Carrie Underwood is a really awesome country music person that the kids love these days.
Yeah.
She's never probably touched a pair of nunchucks. She's probably never learned a martial art, But you know what? I just feel like if we get Carrie Underwood to sing this random song to kind of be the montage song for the first part of this, kids will love it, right? Like, you know, but I'm just thinking to myself, there was any martial arts inspired artist who could have got in there and got involved and done a really cool rendition of an old Karate Kid song. Like, I don't need her singing "You're the Best Around." Like, if that had happened, I'd have thrown my controller up and just walked away. Like, I need that last season hard rock edge super. I need that, like, just bass in my face levels of nostalgia. Okay. I mean, if the original band's still together, get the original band in there. Let's do this. Let's remix it slightly, but let's just, you're the best around. Give me all of it.
Yeah,
all of
that I can or something.
I don't need Carrie, you know, I don't need Carrie Underwood trying to sing that song.
Yeah, she probably somebody cousin that they
knew. Get in. That was the person.
Right. I was actually expecting Mariah Carey or someone whenever they said we got someone.
Mariah Carey.
I don't know. I was actually expecting someone like Mariah Carey to do the thing, but I was hoping for Def Leppard or someone to go with the 80s kind of style kind of vibe.
Yeah, Def Leppard is cheap. They're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, they charge $500 a ticket. But
I'm sorry.
They've hit legendary status.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry, y'all.
Rob,
at least they don't do a bunch of farewell tours like some other bands. But what do you guys think of the skill sets?
Okay. I was bored during the skills test, to be honest. And the reason why I was bored is because I'm sitting there going, when are they going to fight?
That's all I was wondering too.
Like,
because I used to compete in competition.
Okay.
Oh, do tell.
What was your skill test?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it was just a karate form. Like, basically standing Jumbi, doing your karate forms. Like, in other words, it's kind of like what Miyagi-Do was. In a sense, doing that kind of karate form and everything, but they had different skills for different things. They had that thing with the stick. They also had a couple of other things and stuff like that. And I'm bored. Even as a kid, I was bored with that. I'm like, I'm ready to do some sparring.
Yeah,
that's what I came here for. I came here to spar.
Yeah.
You know. But with the skill testing and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it brought back my childhood a little bit. But at the same time, it reminded me how bored I was during the competition and everything of why I don't like the skill stuff. And I think at that time, though, too, when Daniel was around, there was no skill competition. It was either knock the person's block off and go home, or you lose the tournament. This is more of the realistic way of how you actually do these karate tournaments, and that's actually how they do them.
Still trying to figure out, like California, when they couldn't figure out the skills test has been going on for decades beforehand. Like that's I mean, I'm just like, they're really amazed. They're sitting here like I said, I thought somebody put down on a piece of people. Kill everybody and the last man standing. Like I thought, like we were gonna get like a dome, and it was gonna be like the Thunderdome with nails and spikes and all sorts of weaponry that they were gonna have to climb up to the top and get, like the Hunger Games or something.
What did you think, Tomeka?
Same. I have no other comment.
Right.
Anybody know archery? Like
Hunger Games. Next in the karate, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do archery.
Oh, nice.
Followed by nunchucks. Then after that, we're gonna do pellet shooting.
But like, remember that time when we saw Bruce Lee playing table tennis with a pair of nunchucks? Yeah, whoever can do that gets an extra point going into the next round.
Yeah,
right.
Bounce to your opponent.
You know, even when they were discussing stuff about evolutionizing stuff, things like that, that kind of pulled me out a little bit. I'm like, you only had one female person within this karate tournament, which was Tori. You didn't see any other person that was a female inside there. I'm like, you needed to have extras to actually show that you had women besides Tori.
Well, there was the other girl that in Miyagi, Eagle Fang technically, because they did that, which that bothered me too. It's like they kind of split again. and he had the one girl that was in the debate club that was learning martial arts. So Tori, of course, is going to face her. We kind of knew that was going to happen early.
Mm-hmm.
But like she wasn't there long enough for us to clearly care about her, other than apparently she had a temper. And we realized she had a temper, so she was going to get further than some of the other girls that we probably wouldn't see in brief moments. And they did that thing very much in a lot of TV shows where to speed through it, they're kind of like, oh, there's a girl. She gets kicked in the head once, and then that's over. And then they show this longer thing with these two guys. Like, well, Hawks, if you'll notice, like Hawk and Robbie and Manuel and Miguel. I don't know why I was going to say Manuel. Miguel, they were like, you got to see longer takes with them fighting than you did the girls. Because, like I said, I got a feeling they literally had like two girls. They just had up dressed up in different dojo outfits, and they would just have them switch out, and that would be the way to get them. Well, technically, they're fighting girls. You just never see their faces.
Right. Man, they could have more extras over there, just like
they could have
doing this and not hitting each other.
Yeah.
And then acting like they punched something, but they didn't really punch anything and accidentally fall.
See,
but the skill stuff I didn't really like, to be honest. Then of course you wind up seeing the refs, and they're like, "Do you see that ref? What's going on?" I feel like I was watching a football game at that point. Like, did you see that ref? Did you see that?
Huh?
I'm like, how do you not see that?
Huh?
Well, let's review the play, shall we?
I was on my lunch break.
Rest in peace, John Madden. Like, that'd have been the moment you'd be like, "Now see what she did here? Was she did the thunder kick?
Yeah.
She got around twice and kicked her in the face. And then when she landed, she kneed her in the stomach with the other leg, you see.
Oh.
They fell down, and then at that point, she came back with the other foot and tagged her in the head. And that's how she got docked the point, because you technically can't kick them in the head when they're falling. See?
Yes. Emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. TikTok.
We've been watching way too much Stephen Heat.
TikTok has ruined my life.
But I think that, overall, Terry paying off the refs was actually perfect, because now it actually fits into his MO. Because I felt like Terry was all over the place. It was good to see him. But I'm like, what's the motivation? What's his game plan through this whole entire thing? Because we see that Kreese and him are also having complications like Johnny and Daniel are, in a sense. And
everybody has a weakness.
Yep.
That's the thesis that broke it. That's what he said. Everybody has a weakness. And he was just like, and Kreese was just like, that's not true. I don't have a weakness. And so they're going like, oh, I bet you do, buddy.
Yeah.
I bet you do.
And then he brought it up. You remember when I saved you in that cage? Oh, here we go again. Damn. Bring this up.
Like, I just need Kreese to come out in one scene in the episode with a shirt that says, remember when I saved you in the cage.
Remember when I saved you in the cage.
That needs to be a shirt.
Look at this play. Look at it. Play it. Play the flashback. I'm like, oh God. But it's interesting to see how they both have switched. Like Terry, when he came back, he was like, no, we gotta focus on a tournament. Don't get revenge. Don't do anything. Just bottle your anger up and release it at your opponent at the tournament. And then Reese was like, no, we gotta kick their ass. This is Cobra Kai. And then they sort of switched when Johnny, for some reason, Johnny seemed like the catalyst to me when Terry was like kicking his ass. And then Reese looked at Johnny, and I'm not sure if he sees him as a son type or what, if he has some type of affection towards Johnny. But somehow seeing him get beat up by Terry, he was like, no, you have to stop. We got to say this for the tournament. And I could see Terry as like a little boy trying to gain his father's approval, if I want to get this deep. Because this seemed like a show about fathers and abandonment issues. He was like, oh, wait, isn't this what you want? See, I brought him here. See, look at me. Did I do good? Did I get your approval, Reese? See, look what I did. Ain't you happy? Can you accept me now? That's what I saw. I saw Terry as a little boy in that scene, just trying to get his dad's approval, who is Reese.
I love that. I love
Mic
that
drop.
thought. First of all,
That's a good
I love that
analogy.
thought. That's a very good analogy. And one thing I will say is I think you're on to it because when because remember, he tells Kreese, Johnny's your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been Johnny Lawrence
Mm.
because he was the one that tried to live out your principles the fullest.
Mm.
And it's still a part of who he is. Even though he fights it so much, he fights a lot of the moral stuff that Kreese goes through. He's still ultimately Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
He has never truly learned any other way to live life. So in his mind, when he sees that moment, when he's in that fight, when he's beating him down like he is, he sees Kreese sit there and go, you know what, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough, let it go. That's the switch.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the moment when he's like, you know what? I have gone through all this with you. You came up to me. I was living my life doing my thing. You came to me to get me to help you destroy them for once and for all. I wanted to do that. And then you wouldn't let me. So maybe you don't need to be, because then he saw him as weaker. You don't need to be doing this anymore. Because the last time we were here, we didn't finish the job. Because you got weak.
Yep. Because his only MO was punishing Daniel because of the fact of the stuff that Johnny didn't get to do. And then, of course, then we actually get to see what Silver's ideal of what he wants to do, which was complete what he didn't get to do in the third Cobra Kai, the third Karate Kid movie, which was plant
dojos all over the place.
Right, that was his goal. That was his weakness, is getting that. And Daniel also got rid of that whenever of course he wound up beating inside the tournament, and then also too seeing the abuse that Cobra Kai did, and everything too, which also put a damper on him planting everything. So now this is a new way of getting everything.
Yeah, well, even there's the point where he looks at Daniel and he says, you know, the reason I think you're really mad is because when you were in Cobra Kai, you realized there was always a little bit of Cobra Kai in you too, and you kind of liked it a little bit.
He saw that. We saw that though as that got played out.
Yeah.
When remember the wooden mantle thing that he made for Daniel to defend himself on and toughen him up.
Yeah, because Miyagi is all about restraint. That way, you know, it's like I think too that is the ultimate way of the way of karate is the way of Miyagi. You know, you don't fight unless you're provoked. So I think that is the true essence of what karate is supposed to be. But like you said, when Terry confronted Daniel in the convenience store, he's like, there was a little piece of you that liked that freedom. You know, you got to let loose. You weren't so constrained all the time. And I mean, I guess that could be really scary for somebody that, you know, you're part of your life, you've been taught this one way where you are taught like what is it, like defense? No, offense. Offense. Yeah, you're taught offense, and you're taught no, you must you know, follow the way, and you're doing this Bruce Lee stuff, and you're like, I don't fight unless I'm provoked. You know, you're in the way of karate. Then all of a sudden you got UFC. That's why I think Cobra Kai is like UFC. And they're like, yeah, fight and do all this other stuff and you're free. It's, I don't know. It's pretty awesome. Just to see that he could see that in him. Like, yeah.
Well, and I think that creates an interesting thing too from when the final act, you know, we get to see really it come down literally to Sam and Tori. Hawk has done a full arc, or I say a full arc up to this point, because I believe that there's going to be more growth for Hawk. I don't think people realize how much of a fan favorite Hawk has become in this series. But like Hawk goes through the whole thing, they go and they shave the hair off.
Oh, that was brutal.
And, you know, in his mind, you know, it's like, I was defined by the haircut. The light switch turned on when I got the haircut. no one was paying attention to my cleft lip anymore. And his buddy is just like, you got me into this. Like, I would have never taken it. I would have never done this had it not been for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you know what? You're always my friend. Like, that hasn't changed. And it was Hawk really forgiving himself for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the way people looked at him, but he had to forgive himself first.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he did that, he was able just to live and be. And so when he gets into that fight with, you know, initially with Miguel, and then he ends up fighting Robbie. You know, Miguel has that moment where his back hurts and he gets that sprain. He has to make the decision on whether he's going to stay in it or not. And of course, Johnny does what Johnny does. And I love the fact that they keep these guys flawed. They're not perfect mentors. You know, here he is trying to be a father figure to this kid and also try to be a sensei to him. And those are two very different relationships. And he keeps getting them crossed up in the process, and then Miguel's just gone. So then, of course, Hawk goes in, and Hawk's fighting, and him and Robbie, he's sitting there going, nobody's ever beaten Robbie. And that's when, you know, Daniel tells him, Daniel's like, look, do whatever you need to do. Don't feel constrained to one or the other. And I'm like, yes, finally, somebody's getting it. Just do what you got to do. You know?
Yeah,
definitely.
So,
and
that was awesome.
That scene, sorry, I wanted to touch on what Will was saying. It was a scene where, you know, Johnny was drunk, and it was after you know, Terry beat him up, and he was drunk, and then Miguel found him, and he's saying all these things to Miguel. He's like, I always wanted to be a father to you. I was never there for you, and I'm doing my best. And Miguel's like, oh my gosh, yes, you have done your best. And he rolls over. He's like, I love you, Robbie. He's like, oh my God. Like, that was so heart-wrenching to me. Like, he wanted that approval. Like I said, it's a show about absentee fathers. Basically, that seems like the whole theme.
Absentee fathers and unresolved issues.
Exactly.
A Cobra Kai show.
Miguel wanted that, you know, like he saw Johnny as his father stand-in, and to hear him say Robbie, it was like, oh, my father disowned me all over again. And like you said, it's very murky. Like, you can't be a sensei and a father figure. It's two different things. And I agree with you. Johnny messed up.
But Daniel messed up too. Daniel had his own mess up.
Wait a minute, he abandoned his own son. Giving out
he made him get away with a bunch of stuff though too. He let him play with the electronics, let him be glued into the electronics all the time.
I mean, and then until he broke his iPad, I was like, there you go. That's the parenting you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. I told you to get off of this. Wham! I'm just like, oh.
I want to have to tell you again. Yes, Father. You taking out the trash?
That moment he turned into Johnny. I'm gonna be honest.
Like all of a sudden you just see like Samuel L. Jackson's hand just comes up. He just hands a belt to Daniel, and then the door closes. And for like 10 minutes, we just hear the. Didn't I tell you? You're not the best of electronics now.
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
What was going to happen if Tony came in again?
Yeah.
And then he just goes, and then Mama's sitting there going, "What happened to Daniel?"
It's kind of like Boondocks too.
Sister comes in. Sister's like, I guess him hanging around Miyagi really did have a positive effect. Daddy didn't go, okay, all right.
Get off these electronics. You're punished.
Like, all right, you know what? Dad said something now. I ain't gonna mess with him. I'm good. Like,
I'm good. You want your electronics? No, I'm good.
He broke his iPad in two. He better be straight.
Right?
Mm-hmm. The electronics that he paid for. That's the crazy part. You know that kid ain't worked.
That's over $600, $900 for
That's that kid problem. He's spoiled.
He tried to work with him too, and he just wasn't into it. Like didn't he end up using his dad's credit card to pay somebody to wax the cars?
Yeah. He didn't want to learn.
He don't want to
because remember Daniel called him out on it.
Yeah.
But I think oh boy putting it on him there near the end of the season, the young man he picked on that became the uncaged tiger. I think that's gonna get him to be like, maybe I need to be serious about this myself, because this ain't I'm not ready for that type of smoke. I know it's coming from my house, and I gotta get ready.
Yeah.
Because now that kid's going to be coming after me after everything I've done to him.
He's
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
He's coming. Everything he's
Especially
got.
whenever he goes over there to apologize to him for everything. The kid, at that point, the kid reached his breaking point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done with apologies. I'm done with you. I'm done with everything.
Yeah.
And he just goes ham on him.
You've never had to worry about somebody coming after you. Well, what if you did? And he just like, bam! I'm just like, what?
He just reached his breaking point. That he was the
good.
bully. He reached his breaking point just like anybody else who would get bullied. And he had enough. I can't say I blame the kid.
I'm Team Kenny, even though he's on Cobra Kai. I'm like, okay, fine. And for a split second, I thought, before with Cobra Kai, how he wasn't doing good when he first got there. I thought, oh, well, maybe he's gonna go to Miyagi-Do. For some reason, I thought he was gonna go to Miyagi-Do.
I don't think he would have gone to Miyagi-Do just because his brother told him to stay with Robbie. Because his brother specifically pointed because they said, go find Robbie.
Yeah.
He didn't say go find martial arts. He said go find this kid because this kid will help you.
Yeah.
And I
he
think
had my back.
And without that happening to Kenny, I don't think we get the thing with Robbie and his dad where he's just like, I'm tired of blaming you. I've been angry with you for so long. I'm tired of blaming you for everything.
Right. There's two other things I want to bring up, and then we'll close. The mother, Daniel's wife, and everything. Whenever trying to help Tori better herself to be for a mother role model. Then you also have Terry in the supermarket that's trying to, and then also too, you also have Crease that's also interacts with her though too.
Yeah.
What did you think of the interactions with that on having both senseis at two different locations talking to her?
I think it's interesting that, as far as I know, we don't get a scene where she tells Daniel what happened.
No.
Because there's nothing. Because I feel like had she said something to Daniel would have lost his cool and went after him, and I think that would have taken it down a slightly different path. Especially when he was trying to understand what the whole Cobra Kai Eagle Fang thing was at that point too. I mean, that hockey game.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah. My favorite line in that whole thing was when Daniel tells him early on, best way to deal with fight is to not be there. And so then whenever he ends up getting the guy into all this stuff, and then he's just like, where were you? He's like, not being there. So see, Johnny did kind of learn, but in his own unique way.
But he also taught Daniel the fight sometimes goes to him. Yeah. And what are you going to do when the fight comes to you?
Right.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that kind of parallels what happens to the kids when they all show up at Daniel's.
Definitely.
Because that happened to them. Cobra Kai literally said, boom, we're coming to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I thought that Tori was gonna, after she lost her job and everything, and she was in the dressing room, I was like, Lord, this girl done went to stripping. She done hit the pole.
That's what I thought though too. But like, wait,
ready, and she's in her bra. He's like 15 minutes, more lipstick. I was like, Lord have mercy, girl.
And then they had him
hit rock bottom. She done hit the pole.
And then it's like, can she even do that? Is she technically playing an 18-year-old? Like, how's that working?
Right, I'm like, is this an underage strip club or what's going on?
I don't know what's happening here. And then you come to find out they're like storytelling and like they're princesses and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, okay. Oh goodness, I'm so jaded right now.
I'm like, okay, I gotta get my mind out of this pervert side.
I'm like, sorry, TV and movies, they just take me down a path where I'm just jaded and I'm used to teenage girls hitting the poles.
I'm done.
The spinoff series, Cobra Kai, the poles.
Cobra Kai. Hit the pole, girl.
Hit that pole.
More lipstick. I was like, oh, girl, it come down to this. Oh, somebody save them.
The first time Tori gets on the pole and the sleazy producer comes out there, she rips the pole down and uses it as a bow staff and just whoops the guy, just walks out, throws the pole down and walks out.
She'll be a good stripper, though. She don't take no mess.
Nope. She'll karate chop them and then get back on the pole again.
That's how you
So
gotta
there you
do
go.
it.
And roundhouse somebody.
That's the way of the stripper. The way of
Strike
the stripper.
first.
Strike first. Get money later.
Yikes.
But
this feels like a very special episode of Cobra Kai.
This is the Cobra Kai that you don't download. I think I downloaded the wrong Cobra Kai. That's the kind of thing that we have.
That's what happened with John having me on his show.
But I always try to bring balance, though.
You used to put a disclaimer like the views that Tomeka say do not represent this show.
I guess don't make that.
That's too late. You should have had it ready when I was talking about the stripper.
Hey, I just like to see how far down the rabbit hole it goes sometimes to see where you come out with. That's what I like to do.
You don't know what I'm going to say. I don't even know what I'm going to say. You should just have that thing ready all the time.
But beep, 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 warning, warning, warning. The views expressed
do not necessarily movie lovers unite.
It's not just right. One other thing, when Chosen shows up, now this is how you mentioned, Will, about all Daniel knows is offense, right? Now you actually have the defense partner that you need to bring that balance. We thought it would be with the two with Johnny and him having that balance and everything, because okay, kids, we're gonna go on ahead. I'll teach you the defense part, the offense part, or defense part, and you're gonna go with Johnny. This is where you have an even kill now. You actually have defense and offense in Miyagi-Do karate, with Chosen being next to Daniel.
So my question then becomes, does Chosen, because technically if the deal was they had to close down their dojos. So the question then becomes, does Chosen take over the Miyagi-Do?
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that.
Because if they have to close their dojos, it's not like Daniel's going to be able to be over the dojo anymore.
Well, it depends on, too, if Tori gets there in time to say, hey, look, Terry cheated. You don't have to close down your dojo.
Yeah, but the problem is, how far does the money go up to be able to prove that? Because if he greased the palms way up the thing, her coming out and saying anything, like, you don't think somebody that's got that much money, those bigger pockets, you don't think he paid all the way up to make sure that it didn't get...
Right, for crying out loud. He also got Robbie and them a limo, Tux, everything else. This guy has power. So, of course, he has everybody in his pocket, too.
So, I mean, Tori could come forward, and that's the whole thing. Tori could come forward, and then that's how they kick her out of Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has to make a decision on whether she's going to join anybody or she's going to eventually join Miyagi-Do.
Right.
She can't be a snitch in Cobra Kai.
No
snitches in Cobra Kai.
They'll make sure she gets stitches.
Oh yeah, she'll be blacklisted where she won't have a choice.
Somehow or another, they'll find a way to get the debate girl to join them just because.
Yeah, but she probably paid her aunt off and everybody else in her family where she won't have no support. She'll just be cut off.
Another thing I want to mention this too is I like how tough Daniel's wife is and how she is, because any other wife would have divorced Daniel by now.
Yeah.
Destroying the house and everything and things like that. And I thought that's what we would actually see her do, the separation between the two of them, especially when he goes to Aqua in the other season, whenever he goes where him and Miyagi went to in the second.
Okinawa.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me with the pronunciation.
Yeah. Well, maybe next season it'll be a divorce.
Well, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because I think her coming to him and saying, because Sam, of course, gets all bitter because of the fact that Tori's in the house. And Sam's all like, I don't understand how you're helping her and all this other stuff. And then when Daniel's talking to her, one thing she says to him was, do you remember such and such? He's like, yeah, I remember what you told me. You told me this, this, and this. And then she reveals that she fought her aunt or something and stole the car. Like she had a bit of a past too. And I think the thing about her is we're finding out that she's not nearly as perfect as she's projected herself to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's kind of understanding where a lot of this is going. Now I think she may put her foot down and say, look, this is the end or we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't have you be my business partner over this garage. And I'm going to have some random wacko kids coming up in here wanting a martial art fight us every week.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This has to end because you think about it, it goes back how far? How far has this gone back when these two men started fighting? And now we got a whole new generation of people
80.
under them that are still fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I know Oprah said all my life I had to fight in the color purple, but come on.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be
Fighting gotta
some
get done
type
at some
of
point.
right. There's got to be some type of unity somewhere, some type of balance.
You got to
When they
resolve
this.
it
drink,
somehow. or
when they
another.
drink beer, that's the only
That's
time
it.
that they get peace.
And then there's one last thing, and that's the fact that with Johnny from his childhood, you see the abandonment with Johnny, with his father.
More father.
And then he doesn't like the fact that his mom's dating somebody new because it's scary to him. And therefore he's throwing a fit because of it. And she winds up with that other rich douchebag that was mean towards Johnny from the get-go, and she makes him throw away everything that reminded him of his father, despite the fact that he did walk out. That's all he knew.
Yeah.
And
Played
you
by
got
Ed
rid of the one
Asner,
thing.
by the way. Rest in peace to him. I believe the first episode of the show was actually dedicated to Ed Asner as well.
But I like in the first season where him and Johnny are talking, goes, just because you live in a nice home does not mean that we don't have problems. That doesn't mean that there's not any problems going on when there is.
Yeah.
I like that aspect.
Because even when he was dating Miguel's mom and Miguel came in, he was like, well, I don't want to discipline him because I remember when my mom dated some guy, he was trying to discipline me. So he was kind of going back and forth. He was like, oh yeah, he went to see his girlfriend. No, that's bad. Don't see a girlfriend. Use condoms. What? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm not a father. What do you want from me? Don't pass the ball to me. Just pass it to somebody else. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, there is nobody else to pass the ball to. That's the crazy part. Like, Abuela is just gonna be like, okay, everybody go to bed. Like that's what's happening right now. Everybody go to bed. We'll talk about it in the morning.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about as far as Cobra Kai. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on or anything like that, or you think we covered everything that you wanted to talk about as well?
Talked about Miguel. We talked about Hawk. We talked about the girls. We talked about the young LaRusso. I think we've talked about pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Some of these men have not aged well. That's all I was saying. Yeah.
Same here. Terry, and I like the Highlander remark that somebody made.
That's Highlander. There can only be one. I was like, geez, this guy who's like me.
But, all in all, I thought it was a great season. I can't wait to see the next season that follows up with this.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Will, what can everybody follow you at on your social medias and things like that? I know you have a podcast of your own as well.
Yes, conversations about ... We get geeky. We talk pop culture. Sometimes we get into some bigger political stuff, but we try to do that more on we have an actual paywall called Conversations Behind the Wall, where we get into more of the hyper stuff that deals with just bigger issues that affect the world. With a younger audience that I have got a younger teenage audience. So I don't want to burden people with heavy stuff on that side of it. But if they want to, throw a couple of bucks at us a month, then they can hear that stuff too as well. So conversations about ... the podcast that's all available on Google Podcast and Spotify and all the places you can get your podcast and Apple, things like that. And then also I illustrate and write children's books.
Awesome.
So they're on Amazon, so you can find, if you just type the name in, you should be able to find those. And then also the podcast, I believe the website is just www.podpage.com/conversationsabout. You can find all the episodes of the podcast there.
Cool.
All right. And where can people reach you at, Tomeka?
Awesome. Yeah. We're going to try to get networking with Will because that was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Two Blurred Girls podcast. We're just two high school friends or from high school, whatever. We're old. Um, who talk about anime, comics, movies. Sometimes we do book discussions. I know we did Malcolm X at one point, so that was pretty cool discussion. Yeah, we are on Facebook at Two Blurred Girls Podcast. We're on, oh, it's so different when you don't have the little scroll at the bottom. Gosh, we're on Instagram
I'll
at
have to
Two
send you the
Blurred
other
Girls.
ones. I think I've got other things too.
Yeah, Two Blurred Girls _ podcast. We're on Twitter at Blurred Two Girls. So basically, the theme is Two Blurred Girls. Just look for us on all social media and subscribe to our YouTube page. We have an audio only podcast, and we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, Good Pods, and everywhere that podcasts are streaming. And this Friday, we are going to tackle the beast that is Full Metal Alchemist, but we're going to cover episodes 9 through 12.
Okay. And I know that you just released a
Oh, yeah.
new
Thanks,
trailer
John.
reaction, right? You're
John
welcome.
always has my back. Yeah, I
Yes, I do.
recorded that thing like 5 times before I got it right. But yeah, I did a trailer reaction to Moon Knight, which I'm
I'll
really
have to go check that
excited
out.
about. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I will upload that later on tonight on our YouTube page.
Okay.
Cool.
And everybody, you guys can go on ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers TV Lovers Night on Facebook, underneath the same brand name on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. If you want to get an audio only podcast of our episode, you can get that wherever you guys get your major podcast from. Of course, if you want to, go ahead and donate to our page. How do you do that? You just go to gofundme.com/movie lovers podcast. Donate $5 to $10 to us if you choose to do so. But you guys don't have to. All you have to do is smash that like button, smash that share button, smash the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner, and also to smash that little bell on the bottom right hand corner to allow you guys to know when we have something new here at Movie Lovers Unite. Also, too, I also teamed up with Two Blurred Girls podcast, and we are actually doing a little charity event with Children's of St. Jude's Hospital with Scentsy. So go ahead, get yourself a Scentsy, $5 to $10 with Scentsy, and it goes all towards Children of St. Jude's Hospital. The links will be in the show notes below. And then, of course, go over to Good Pods. Good Pods is basically the social media for podcasters. We can reply to your comments. You can rate individual episodes. You can tell us what you think about each episode. That's something I really like about Good Pods. We can interact with our fans rather than just being a ranking system and things like that, what Apple Podcast does. And also, too, you can also rank us now on Spotify and, of course, on Apple Podcasts as well. So go ahead and do that. It actually helps both of us out, Tomeka and I out, with other people finding our podcast and things like that, if you guys want to do that. Then, of course, go ahead and follow me underneath Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit over there. And then, of course, on TikTok as well at Movie Lovers Unit 0. And then if you're a sponsor or like to be on the show, all you have to do is reach out to me at movielovesunite@gmail.com. And that's everywhere you guys can go on ahead and reach me at. But tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, you don't want to miss out. I'm going to be doing season 4 of Ozark with Scene Invaders podcast. So I can't wait to dive into this thing. I've binge watched this whole entire thing. My fiance and I both did over the weekend, so I can't wait to dive into that. Wednesday night, I have another show that I'm doing. And a matter of fact, let me go on ahead. Sometimes I lose my track of thoughts.
Oh yeah,
but that's okay.
All the time.
Sometimes the track derails completely.
Right.
I know what that's like.
I don't even have a scripted show.
Well, Thursday night, of course, I'm going to be off because it's my birthday. And
yay, John!
It's your birthday. Throw your hands
Yay,
in there.
Birthday donations.
We don't care.
Birthday donations.
And another thing I want to mention is on Friday, I'm going to be sitting down with Carol Lynn. She actually played Aunt Kim in a movie that I was actually a part of. I was actually the screenplay editor for a horror film called The History That Haunts Us. And I'm going to be sitting down with her, talking about what she had to go through for the auditioning, things like that. So I'm going to be just chatting it up with her. And then Sunday, I'm going to be doing another interviewing a director from France. As a matter of fact, Tomeka and I actually did this and everything with the independent film. Alika Chu Take and Run, which that's what's actually it's actually translated as. And I'm going to be sitting down with that director, Maria, and everything. So I can't wait to go on ahead and talk to her. But that's everything that you guys can know about that's going to be happening here at Movie Lovers Night. I can't wait to do this again. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Tomeka, so much for joining me for this episode of Cobra Kai season 4.
Ooh.
I've been wanting to talk about this so much. Yep, strike first.
3D.
Fist bump.
Boom.
Okay. Boom.
Oh, missed it. Oh, there you go. Uh-oh, nerd. Okay.
We'll get it. Anyways, thanks so much. This means so much to me that you guys were able to do this. Will, we're going to have to collaborate again, man. It was fun doing this for the very first time with you. I can't wait to do this again. And everyone, enjoy the rest of you. Yeah, thank you. And of course, always and stay safe. Have a great night, everyone. And we'll see you back here tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.